Hello and welcome back to my channel. You join me in the Norfolk market town of Thetford. And in this video I'm going to take a walk around the town, visit the old castle and the ruined priory. But I'm starting my walk here by the statue of Captain Mannering, played by the actor Arthur Lowe in the Dad's Army television series. Many of the filming locations were in the town of Thetford, so along the way I'm going to look at as many of those locations as I can find. So join me for a history walk around the town of Thetford and the Dad's Army filming locations. Lovely seeing that statue of Captain Mannering. It was unveiled back on the 20th of June 2010 by one of the writers of the series, David Croft, and was sculpted by Sean Hedges Quinn. But as I just come out to the car park, I've come across the first of my Dad's Army locations. The old door there was used in quite a few of the early episodes back in 1968. When the series began. It ran for 9 years until 1977. There was even a film in 1971. That was filmed at Chalfont St Giles in Buckinghamshire. There was a remake. I say a remake. There was a second film made back in 2016, and it was set up at Bridlington. But even though I enjoyed that 2016 film, I still prefer the original because that's what I grew up watching. And what a jolly bunch of characters they were, all very different, all with their own personalities, and what a great bit of casting. They don't make television programs like that anymore, which is a shame, but I still enjoy watching all the repeats, and I've got most of them on DVD anyway, and they still make me laugh, even though I've seen them dozens and dozens of times. But on my right hand side here are the old almshouses. They date from 1610, and they're really rather nice actually, the architecture. Lots of flint on the outside, as so many other buildings are in Thetford. It really is quite interesting architecture. But I've also come across, just across the road here, the second of my Dad's Army locations, the old church of St Mary the Less. Can't get into the churchyard at the moment, which is a shame because it's all blocked off for renovation, and it does look in a sorry state and in much need of some renovation. Just past the church on the left is Mill Lane. I've just turned into Mill Lane. And down here is one of the locations, probably to the most famous episode of Dad's Army ever made. It's called The Deadly Attachment. And this was the episode where they housed the German U-boat crew in the village hall. And at the end of the episode, the platoon marched them down to the sea to a waiting ship. But obviously filming it in Thetford, we're nowhere near the coast, and well, I should say filming in Walmington on Sea, because that's where I'm walking now. Walmington on Sea, the fictional town, but it was all set in and around Thetford and many other locations in Norfolk and Suffolk. But just up here is the location at the end of the film, well, at the end of the episode, where Corporal Jones had a hand grenade put down his trousers and the U-boat captain pulled the string. Don't panic, Mr. Mannering, don't panic. I can hear the words now and I can see the episode in my head, and it's making me laugh right now, even though I've seen it Must have been 50 times. It's the best episode they've ever made, I think, or one of the best, certainly. And they filmed it just down here, on Mill Lane. That fabulous end sequence. And the buildings look as though, well, apart from the satellite dishes, the building hasn't actually changed. It's still very recognisable from its days in the television series. Wow, so many memories of watching that episode on television, just standing outside the building there. Absolutely, I'm still laughing in my head. The Deadly Attachment has to be one of the funniest episodes. Probably the funniest, the most well known, certainly, out of all the 83 episodes that they made. Must have worked jolly hard to make 83 in 9 years. But sadly, virtually all the actors are no longer with us, apart from Ian Lavender, who played Private Pike. But what brilliant casting, and what a legacy they leave behind. One of the funniest situation comedies ever written. But there are other locations here in Thetford, and they represent equally funny films, equally funny episodes. And I'm going to try and find as many of these as we can. But I'll take a little walk over the little bridge here, which crosses the River Thet. It's really rather pleasant round here, and it's such a sunny day as well. It's lovely and warm. I was in Clacton a couple of days ago, the hot sunshine. And I think it's even hotter today than it was back then. But this is lovely here. The ducks and the geese on the river. This is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely delightful down by those in the gardens down by the river. It really is. Nice welcome patch of shade down there as well. But the building ahead of me is an old mill. I believe I read somewhere that it used to be an old coffee house after it was a mill, and it used to be owned, one of the former owners was the Twining Tea Company. I'm not sure if that's true or not, but I believe it is. If you happen to know, then please let me know in the comments section below. It's a fine old building, really is. Oh, and there's it's called Coffee Mill, formerly owned by the Ibex Coffee Company, and was later sold to R. Twinings and Co., the famous tea merchant. There's a lovely little plaque on the wall there. But another episode of Dad's Army was made in 1968, and it's called Manhunt. Now, this was the episode in which Captain Mainwaring gave a little lecture at the beginning of whether enemy parachutes were white or cream. British parachutes being white, and German parachutes being a cream colour. Now, after the lecture, Private Walker goes in to see Mainwaring and tells him that he found a parachute but couldn't remember whether it was white or cream. So they set about trying to find the owners of the parachute, because Walker had it made into 24 pairs of ladies' knickers. And they went round knocking on doors, asking the residents, asking the ladies at home whether their underwear was white or cream, so as to ascertain whether the parachute found was an English one or a German one. And I'm now walking on the road called Nether Row, and there's a lovely little row of flint-lined cottages down here, and this was the location where they went door knocking to quite mixed responses from the owners, from the ladies at home. But one memorable little moment was when Sergeant Wilson knocked on a door, and a rather attractive young lady answered it, and he asked her whether her underwear was white or cream. Wilson went into the house and emerged a few minutes later when Mannering asked him, "Well, Wilson, were they white or were they cream?" And to which Wilson replied, "Well, actually, they were blue." One of the funniest lines probably ever written in an episode of Dad's Army. And it was filmed here on Nether Row in Thetford, or Walmington-on-Sea, I should say. But yeah, oh dear, I can see that episode in my head right now. Absolutely hilarious. At the end of the episode, all the platoon are gathered in the church hall, and Mrs. Pike comes in, and due to an accident, Mrs. Pike falls over, and we were able to ascertain whether the parachute was British or German. I'm quite surprised Sergeant Wilson didn't know that, actually, considering he was supposed to be romantically involved with Mrs. Pike. But there we go. Well, at least it was a British parachute that they found. But there's another Dad's Army location just up here. It's the old Palace Cinema, which opened back in 1913. It was used in 2 episodes: The Captain's Car, broadcast in 1970, and A Soldier's Farewell, broadcast in 1972. It's also where the cast and crew would meet in the evenings to preview the day's filming. Quite a handy location for some of the filming locations around Thetford, as was the Bell Hotel, where many of the crew stayed whilst filming here in Thetford. Just walked past a road called Pike Lane. Is that named after Private Pike in Dad's Army? Or because there are pike in the River Thet? I was talking to a fisherman a bit earlier, and he did say there are pike in there, but I'm pretty sure it's named after Private Pike. But I'm just walking into the castle, trying to avoid the stinging nettles. I have an aversion to stinging nettles. Yes. Got no idea where we're going. Let's just walk around here. Gosh. This is an old medieval Motte and Bailey castle. Dates from the 11th century. Consisted of a central mound, or a motte, and the area around the side was known as the Bailey. On top would have been a wooden keep for accommodation, the strongest part of the castle, and the Bailey would have had a wooden palisade or a defensive fence around the outside to keep those inside secure and safe and protect them against any unwanted attack. There's some good examples in Pickering and Berkhamsted for a Motte and Bailey castle. And of course Windsor Castle was once a Motte and Bailey, but that one has been well built on over the years, is now very impressive indeed, unlike Thetford Castle, which was abandoned in 1174, so it's rather overgrown, and it's still very pleasant walking around here though. See if I can find a way up to the motte and climb the mound. Wow. Oh, there we go. Wow, there's the large mound. It's actually the second largest. Oh gosh, it's actually the second largest mound in England. The largest is Silbury Hill in Wiltshire. But back in 2017, they put these steps up the side, stop the erosion of the of the mound and to help preserve it. They've got steps going up the mound in Thetford Castle as well. They were put in, I think, in the 1950s. Not that I visited in the 1950s because I wasn't born then, but growing up in Berkhamsted, I visited the castle many times. Wow, it's quite a long way up. Doesn't look it from the ground, but wow. Imagine the views from the top are really rather special. Wow. Getting puffed out walking up these steps. Wow. All this exercise for a Wednesday morning. Wow. Nearly at the top. Wow. There we go. And what terrific views. Absolutely. Oh, catch my breath back and I'll talk to you. Wow. Just had a walk around the mound. It's noticeably larger than Berkhamsted or Pickering Castle. So, but it's still, views from upstairs, up the top there really are quite impressive. Trying to watch my step. Don't want to fall over, do myself an injury. Wow. It was worth coming up here. I really enjoyed that. I do like climbing up old mounds and old castles and exploring ruins. Really rather interesting. But let's head back into the town centre and go to the old market square, which is another of the Dad's Army filming locations. Walked past so many more buildings with flint cladding on the front. The architecture here really is quite distinctive and quite interesting. It's the first time I've been in to Thetford, so I'm not quite sure what to expect. Just across this road, but it's really rather interesting. Just down here is the Dad's Army Museum. I think it's closed. Yeah, it looks it's actually closed there. That's a shame. Would have been fun to go in there and see what they've got. It's open on Saturdays. There's a little poster on the wall, it's open on Saturdays. But there we go, the Dad's Army Museum. Another reason to come back to Thetford and have a look around and explore the museum. But round the corner from here is the market square. And in the market square is the Guildhall. It was used in 2 episodes of Dad's Army, Time on My Hands and The Captain's Car. Oh wow, yeah. It looks just as it did on the on the television programme. It hasn't changed at all. It's quite lovely here. Market Square is quite interesting as well because they used to hold executions in market squares, and there were a few executions in Thetford over the years as well. 2 that come to mind are John Gilbert and Henry Barton, both hanged in March of 1736 for burglary. So many towns, as I say, used for executions around the countryside, all over England. It's hard pushed to find a town that doesn't have a link to an execution or 2. But round the corner is St Cuthbert's Church. dates from 1202, but there's evidence that there was a Saxon church on the site long before this one was built. The tower was rebuilt in 1852. Looks quite impressive from the outside. Really interesting having a look around the outside of that of St Cuthbert's church. All the flint cladding on the outside. Very in keeping with the other buildings that I've passed so far here in Thetford. Really is it's quite delightful walking down here. And a pedestrianised walkway as well down the high street. I haven't walked on one of those since I was in Halesworth a few weeks back. Really is nice to see pedestrianised areas in towns. I just hope that more towns follow the example and pedestrianise their shopping areas. It really is most pleasant to walk past. I've just walked past Joe Jones the butcher shop. Little butchers here in Thetford. And the signage looks exactly the same as it did in the films and the television series. Really rather fun. But I come across a statue on the right here of Thomas Paine. Now, he was born in Thetford on the 9th of February 1737. He was an activist, a political theorist, a revolutionary, and in his life he was quite a controversial person. It's no wonder that he spent time in a Paris prison. He died aged 72 in New York in 1809, but he certainly left his mark on his life, left a mark on society for his controversies and his writings, etc. But I come across another Dad's Army location. It's the old bell. It was used in the very first series of Dad's Army, called Man of the Hour, in 1968. Wow, there's quite a few Dad's Army locations within a short walk of where I started this morning, a Captain Mannering's statue. Let's see what else we can discover as we walk through Thetford. A little further down from the high street is Minster Gate, and there's the old Charles Burrell engineering works on my left hand side. They used to produce traction engines and steam engines here from about 1770 to about 1930. I remember one episode of Dad's Army did actually feature a traction engine. I'm not sure if it was made here in Thetford. Would be interesting if it was. Inside is Jones's van. I believe it's in this museum. It is a museum now. The van they used in the television series was a 1935 2-ton Model AA. But in the 1971 film, they used the Ford Model BB. Slight difference at the front end, but still a 2-ton 1935 vehicle. I believe they used that in the 2016 film as well. I'd have to check on that one. There's either a Model A or a Model BB in the I think it was the original from the TV series. That was a Model AA in the 2016 film. But let's head down now towards the Priory and take a look down there. The Priory of Our Lady of Thetford was one of the largest and the most important in the whole of East Anglia. It was founded in September of 1107 by Roger Bignod, who was a close association of William the Conqueror. Oh wow, this does look impressive. I haven't seen an impressive ruined monastery since Bury St Edmunds. Wow. Ruins here really are quite spectacular. Gosh. For over 400 years this was a burial place for the Earls and Dukes of Norfolk. Gosh, I don't know where to start to go in. Let's go down this way. Gosh, this is really rather amazing. This area is labelled up as the old parlour. But, gosh, stones really are in remarkable condition, given how long the Priory's been here. It was dissolved in 1540 by Henry VIII. He dissolved no end of monasteries and priories from 1536 onwards. If you saw my video the other week from Cardiff, the old priory there was dissolved in 1536. This lasted a bit longer. I was one of the last in 1540 to be dissolved and taken out of use. Henry VIII needed the money for his war with France, so he dissolved all the monasteries and took their wealth, leaving ruins behind today. Just imagine what this place would have been like had it survived, albeit perhaps just the church area into the modern day. It would have been quite something. But I've walked into the old chapter house. This is where the monks would have sat down. I'm actually sitting on one of the monks' benches. They were sat around here in the morning for talks and for prayers, and gosh, it's remarkably well preserved, given all that's happened in England, the history from 1540 onwards, the English Civil War, and of course the two World Wars, World War II especially, when so many towns were bombed by the Germans and so many precious buildings destroyed, not just in England, but of course we reciprocated and destroyed precious buildings and historic buildings in Germany as well. Wars really are terrible things for so many reasons. But let's have a look round and see what else we can discover here, these old ruins. As you walk out of the chapter house, you walk into what would have been a cloistered area. Cloisters would have gone around the central square here, or gardens area, courtyard. There's still a few places in the country that have cloisters. Back to Bury St Edmunds again. If you've ever been there, then they have cloisters, and there aren't too many places that still have them, because they've all been sort of filled in or destroyed, altered over years, or of course destroyed completely through time and events in time. But I walked out now into the main part of of what would have been the main body of the church, walking through the nave up towards the central cross, the central area, and up into what would have been the chancel. Wow. Yeah, these ruins really are impressive. I've been wanting to come here for a long while, but I've never actually got round to it. And finally I have. I've been through, or been past Thetford so many times on the way up to Norwich. But I've never stopped. I'm so glad I did, for so many reasons. Not just to see the Dad's Army locations, but to visit the old ruins here. Really is quite impressive. I do like exploring ruins. I know I've said that, but you can see so much in the architecture and what would have been. Now down into to the Lady Chapel. I've been just to the left of the altar area, the main chancel. Wow. We even have the remains of the steps went up into an upper area, a triforium, or maybe up and towards a rood. There's so many churches, old churches had rood screens that you can climb up and walk across. Absolutely fantastic. Walk back round into the to the chancel area. Just spotted the grave of Thomas Howard, Duke of Norfolk, who died here in 1534. He fought at the Battle of Flodden Field in 1513, on the 9th of September 1513. It was part of the wars of the League of Cambrai between the English and the Scots, and of course the English were victorious in that battle. But it looks like it's a vault there. I know quite a few members of the Howard family are buried there, or buried here in the old priory. So I'm guessing that might be a vault, a burial vault. It's so peaceful here as well. There's only about 3 or 4 other people here, and not a cloud in the sky. It was Blake who once wrote the words, "In England's green and pleasant land." And it certainly is. You see the beauty of England on a warm sunny day like today. Green trees, clear blue sky, and no wind. Perfect conditions for the perfect summer's day. So this is where I end this video. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already done so. There's plenty more content to come, and there's plenty more content on my YouTube channel for you to enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you another time for another adventure.